So I agree. It's a big universe, a lot of planets. Frank Drake came up with the Drake equation. And based on our current understanding, including the Kepler data, we estimate that there are at least 1 million intelligent civilizations at our level or higher in the Milky Way. And so my question would be, well, I'll ask my question later, right? But I just note that for 60 years, since SETI was set up by Frank Drake and some others, they've been searching for life. They've been listening mostly for life, and they've analyzed over several billion signals, and very aggressively several thousand very strong signals. And so far, not a single one of those signals has been determined to be of an intelligent origin. So, I have to wonder if we're looking, and these civilizations would absolutely be able to send a signal to us, because if they're at our level or higher, and given the age of the universe, it's almost certain they're millions of years ahead of us technologically. Within 2 years, we'll be able to send the James Webb Space Telescope up 1 million miles from Earth, and it will be able to analyze the atmosphere of planets around other stars. They'll detect methane or water molecules or hydrogen or oxygen. And races that are millions of years ahead of us are going to know every possible planet in this galaxy and which ones are ripe for life. They'll be sending signals to those worlds, I would imagine. And if that's true, I go back to Fermi's, the Fermi paradox, as it has become known, or the great silence. Where are they? Where are all the people? We should be hearing from them. We have the most powerful telescopes which have been listening, and in fact, as far back as 2015, $100 million was given to SETI so they could look even harder. And we still have no confirmation of an intelligent signal. Now, I know that's sad to think of that, because I've always wanted there to be life out there. But this is a cautionary tale. Think of this. We on this planet have developed just as many others might have developed, but they didn't survive. And here we see on our planet we're destroying our environment, and we have the possibility of nuclear annihilation. This is a cautionary tale. We need to remember life on Earth is precious, and it is unique. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have come to the interrogatory part of the debate. Now, I will let you know that during this part of the debate, I will not be stepping down the stairs, because the more I go up and down the stairs, the more likely it is that one of us is going to fall off the stage. We have, in fact, had our one episode of someone falling off the stage that we're allowed in a year, so we're not allowed to do that anymore. So I will be stepping to the side and touching each of you on the shoulder when your time has expired. We will begin with a question from one debater to another. Mr. Fulton, have you a question for Mr. Halliday?
My question would be, have you considered the silence to be a result of our looking for essentially smoke signals when they're communicating some other way that we can't imagine yet?
Mr. Halliday, you have 1 minute.
Maybe they have some form of communication that we just don't understand yet. This is one of 75 different hypotheses that have been developed over time to explain the great silence and why the Fermi paradox must mean something else. My favorite one is the zoo hypothesis. the advanced civilizations out there in our galaxy are actually, keeping all these signals, these radio signals from reaching us, because they want us to develop naturally without interference. Something like the Starfleet Prime Directive, non-interference. It's the way to do it. But this is all based on our desire to not be alone.
Stay there, Mr. Halliday, please.
Oh, right.
Have you a question for Mr. Fulton?
I do. Given that there should be at least 1 million advanced civilizations in just our galaxy alone, and that they would be almost certainly targeting us if they existed, why are we not receiving their signals after having analyzed billions of them?
Mr. Fulton, you have 1 minute.
There are two good reasons this could be. First of all, I haven't had a conversation with a grasshopper lately. It could be, think about how much we've advanced in 1,000 years. Now think about 1 million years. Do they want to talk to us? The other possibility is, well, why didn't Isaac Newton send radio messages? Why didn't, Socrates send any radio messages? Why didn't Buddha send radio messages? We've only had radio for like 100 years. And it's even possible that only toddler civilizations use radio. We've been listening for less than 100 years. We just don't know what's going on.
And now we open it up to you, the audience. I've just developed an echo, and it's kind of awesome. We open it up to you, the audience, with your questions. Now, when I say questions, I do need to clarify, we do not want manifestos, screeds, polemics, rants, small lectures, or dissertations. You will have time for one question. There will be no follow-up questions. You must address your question to one debater. You may not address it to both of them. You may not also say, well, I'm going to address it to one and then I want the other one to answer it. That's a trick that only works once. The once has been expended. So we will begin with a question for Mr. Fulton. Back there, standing up. Yes, you. You will need to enunciate, though.
Yes, my question is, you're talking about probabilities of life occurring. How do you calculate the probability of life occurring somewhere else? How do you come up with it? I can come up with a probability of 1 million for X, situation X occurring, and just come up with a number out of nowhere. How do you come up with these probabilities?
So, sir, how do you come up with the probabilities?
That is a very good question, and the truth is, nobody really knows. It's a matter of the Earth being a very big place, any Earth being very big, molecules being very small, the universe being very old. If life developed here and not in a trillion similar places, I would really, really want to know why. It's like the old quote from Werner von Braun. It's like saying, my cat can have kittens, but no other cat can. So we don't know the probabilities. We can only make reasonable guesses.
And now a question for Mr. Halliday. Down here in the white shirt.
For the SETI project, what is the likelihood, because it takes a long time for radio waves to get inspected and reach everywhere, what if the SETI hasn't been active long enough to detect? 6 years is not long.
So 60 years is not a long time. What if SETI just hasn't found it yet?
You're referring to a signal that we may have sent out, and we've had signals going out from radio and television for over 100 years. But the other civilizations that theoretically exist, according to the Drake equation, would have been sending radio signals for millions of years. And our galaxy is only 100,000 light years across. And by the way, we do know that there are about 1 trillion planets because of observatories like the Kepler Space Telescope, which over a 9.5-year period found thousands of planets around other stars. And by extrapolating the numbers of stars in our galaxy, we know that there are about 1 trillion of them. So that's just one of the parameters of the Drake equation. You fill in all of the parameters, number of stars with planets, etc. And you use the best data you can to get the most accurate number you feel you can get.
Ordinarily, this is the time at which I ask Madam Timekeeper how many more questions we have time for. But you see, I am ungoverned today. So, in a show of restraint, I'm going to limit it to 2 more rounds of question, the first of which I will accept from right there for Mr. Fulton.
My question revolves around a fear that I used to have. There are all these other civilizations, and the probability is they're potentially technologically much more advanced than us. What is also a possibility that they probably killed themselves off by now, or killed each other off, or as we're about to do.
So what if there was other intelligent life and they have just simply followed our path to its logical extension and killed themselves off?
I think the idea of killing yourself off is unnecessarily pessimistic. I mean, that sort of thing is probably possible, but I think that everything has a lifespan. An individual lives for several decades. A country may live for a few centuries. A civilization or a species may last for many thousands of years. A star may last for billions of years. Everything comes to an end, whether it's suicide or natural causes. Individuals would like to last forever, so would nations, so would species, but I don't think they do it. So yeah, I think probably maybe half of them are already dead, but let's concentrate on the other half.
So a galaxy half full approach then? Sorry, I generally don't interject, but I couldn't resist, guys. A question for Mr. Halliday. Man, you folks in the middle are active. Right down here in the dark shirt.
Yeah, so based on our limited understanding of what intelligence is based on Earth life, how can we measure realistically potential other intelligences in the universe?
So based on our own understanding of intelligent life, how do we measure other intelligences in the universe?
Most of those in the scientific community who study this posit that as civilizations mature, they follow a predictable path of scientific discovery and innovation. They'll eventually learn to study the atom and create atom bombs. And on the other side, there's the industrialization. They learn to use the materials of their world. And that's why right now, on our world, we see industrialization destroying our environment and the possibility of nuclear destruction.
So the final round of questions. Question for Mr. Fulton. Way back there, coming out of your seat. Yes, you.
So that was a really anthropocentric answer. So biologists define life as a self-replicating chemical, right, like DNA. So I wondered if you could give your perspective of intelligent life based on the organisms that are on Earth, right? So you mentioned insects earlier. So what's your idea of intelligent organisms?
So what is your idea of intelligent organisms, basing it on equivalence of life here on Earth?